wasn't that long ago that about the only way a woman could get into Congress was if her husband died in office and she was appointed to finish his term. Jeanette Rankin of Montana became the first woman elected to Congress in 1917, 3 years before women won the right to vote. It would be another 15 years before voters put a woman in the Senate. Hattie Caraway from Arkansas won that distinction, becoming the first woman elected to a full term. Fast forward to 2015, as a record 104 women will play a role on Capitol Hill in crafting the nation's laws. Among them, Elise Stefanik, the youngest woman ever elected to the House, and Mia Love, the first Black Republican Congresswoman.
I've never really looked at issues in Washington, D.C. as women's issues. I think women have a different perspective on every issue.
South Dakota Congresswoman Kristi Noem co-chairs the Bipartisan Congressional Women's Caucus. This diverse group finds areas of agreement, such as ending human trafficking, and tackles them like moms checking off a to-do list.
There's so many times I've been in a discussion on a bill or policy where if the women weren't in the room, it wouldn't have been an adequate solution. It wouldn't have been something that would have worked for our country.
My experience has been that women like to solve the problem and aren't as concerned necessarily about who gets the credit. And that's a different way to govern than our male counterparts.
Congresswoman Hahn and Noem also belong to a women's-only Bible study, where their faith helps diffuse political differences.
It's the one area we're able to share with each other some of our struggles that we probably would not share with a bigger group or with our male counterparts.
They appreciate and need each other's support.
The other women that are here are absolutely fantastic, and they get it, and we have great relationships.
Despite making up half the population, women are a clear minority on the Hill.
It's really interesting being a conservative woman in Congress, and many times you do feel like you're kind of at the end of the list, if you will. And even when you're the next in line, there's always a guy that is going to be pushed forward in front of you.
What an honor it is for me to be with you after the President's State of the Union.
2 years in a row, Republican women have responded to the President's State of the Union address. But in the Republican-controlled House, men head up all the committees. In the Republican-controlled Senate, just one woman, Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski, holds the title of chairman. It shows that women still face the challenge of breaking into the men's club.
For a lot of us women, the chances to build relationships with individuals gets a little hard on Capitol Hill. You know, our chance to socialize with our colleagues, for me, certainly isn't going to happen in a bar at night. I'm not going to do that. So my chance to really build relationships with other colleagues is going to be in a Bible study or potentially in the gym. That can end up hurting your chance to become a chairman or to rise to the top of some kind of panel or task force.
Polling shows a majority of Americans, 63%, believe the country would be better off if more women were in positions of political leadership. It's an opinion shared by both women and men across every age group. So why then do women only make up about 20% of the House and Senate?
I think a lot of women just don't feel, like they want to put their family through the trials and tribulations of running for office. And the way politics has become so combative and so negative that I think a lot of women just think, who needs that?
It can be a tremendous sacrifice, especially for moms who leave their families and sometimes travel across the country.
I had to be asked to run for office or else I never would be here. I wanted to be a farmer the rest of my life, but people kept asking me for several years, and finally I thought, I can't just say I want this country to be different. Maybe I have to contribute to that process.
For now, Democrats corner the women in Congress market. 14 of the 20 women senators are Democrats, along with 62 of the 84 women in the House.
Are liberal-minded women more apt to run for office, or are Democrats just better at recruiting female candidates?
I think both is true. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way the media approaches a liberal candidate versus a conservative candidate. I think women that are on the left don't have the microscope put on them that women on the right do.
Congresswoman Hahn says Democrats also have more role models. In the House, they're led by Nancy Pelosi, who also served as the first female speaker. Women on both sides of the aisle hope Congress will someday more closely mirror the population. But for now, they're celebrating their record numbers and weighing in on the nation's laws in ways only women can.
And I think the role models that are in this Congress are important for young girls and women across this country to see that this really is something, it's a noble profession and it's something worth striving for.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Capitol Hill.